23 News Update at 10.
Mental health awareness is on the rise across the country, and a series of events are scheduled to help expand and improve mental health services right here in the Forest City.
23 News reporter Jake Pearson talks to community members about how they want to spend resources to develop positive change for those suffering from mental health issues.
The Winnebago County Community Mental Health Board gave members of the public a platform to speak. One woman I spoke to said allocating resources to mental health services is vital for creating the next generation of productive workers.
We're creating a web of support in our community.
Members of the community supporting those who may be too afraid to speak up. That is the goal of the Winnebago County Community Mental Health Board. The group hosted its first of 3 open house events to figure out the best ways to use the county's half-cent sales tax allocated for mental health programs.
When we talk about the strategic plan, that's really what the Mental Health Board is looking for, is what are the most strategic ways and the highest priorities for utilizing that funding.
We have had a lack of adequate mental health programs and initiatives for people that suffer from mental health.
Diana Rose Walker attended the event and offered up her opinions on how she feels the funding would be best utilized.
If you were to go to the jail, and I would say probably 50 to 60% of the people are there as a result of undiagnosed and untreated mental health illnesses.
Walker says mental health issues need to be addressed as soon as possible, and she says it starts with our community's kids. The Mental Health Board agrees, targeting youth age groups after finding results that show young adults are the most in need of mental health help.
Frederick Douglass said something that's very profound, and he said that it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. And if we can address the traumatic situations at adolescents, they can become productive adults.
The group unveiled its strategic plan for dealing with mental health in the state line at tonight's event. It includes a timeline of ideas and information to serve as an outline for how the county will fund mental health programs from 2025 to 2027.
Thank you, Jake. And 2 more public comment sessions will be held before the draft is finalized. They will take place on the next 2 Wednesdays, August 16th and August 23rd.